guys, today we're going to be trekking through 14 acres of woods to get back there to the back of my parents' property. They have a creek back there and we are going to be looking for some fossils. I might even stop and see the cemetery on the way down. My parents have an old cemetery out there somewhere out here in the middle of their woods. There are a lot of headstones from the 17 and 1800s. I think the latest one is like 1829 or something like that. But it's a really old cemetery, very overgrown. Yeah, let's brave the ticks, brave the triggers and the poison ivy, and see what kind of fun stuff we can find. So behind this fence right here is the old cemetery, or what's left of it. See, everything's all overgrown now, and we are about maybe a quarter mile away from the road down that way. The creek is way down that way, and that's where we're going to head. See, here in this cemetery, there's not much markers. Like here is a footstone. There's another one right here. There's one right there. There's a footstone right there. Here's one that still has some engraving on it. Mackenzie, it looks like her, I can't quite make it out, died March 9, 1850. So I'm sure the infant son was placed right here, probably a little sprout of a tree that is now grown to a 100-foot tall tree. So this is a good 170-year-old tree, maybe, I'm assuming. There's another one of the headstones, and you can't make out any kind of markings on it at all. But again, another tree was planted right there, probably in their honor. There's a person that's buried in here that fought in the Civil War as well. I don't know if I can find the marker for it or not, but he fought and died in the Civil War. So anyhow, I think that's kind of a neat little bit of history. Right here on my parents' property, they have this cemetery right here, and every year there's a guy from the state. He comes, drives up my parents' driveway, and he treks down here through the woods, and he usually puts like a little American flag by his grave marker, but I am not finding it at all, so I don't think that he came this year. Oh, today is July 6th, by the way, of 2024. All right, right down here underneath us is where a Revolutionary War veteran was buried. Another headstone right there. Another one right there. More over here. Harriet Ann, daughter of J and A Christie. September 24, 1823. Infant son of J and A Christie, died, I'm not sure, 1822, something, 1822. Yeah, so again, it's just a neat little bit of history right here on my parents' property. We have a 200-plus-year-old cemetery right here that has been overgrown for years and years, long before my parents even bought the property. One of the bad things about these woods is that you get all these little sticker balls all over you. This is something you have to watch for. I usually find these little spider webs with my face whenever I'm walking around through these woods. And give me a second to get all the cobwebs off of my hair, or the little bit of scraps of hair I have left. All right, so we're gonna leave the cemetery, headstone right there, and we're gonna head on down to the creek, down that way. All right, so I made it down here to the creek, and I'm gonna head this way just for a few minutes, but the main part we're gonna get to is back that way, which is behind me. And so we're gonna go that way, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 feet or so, just follow along the creek. Man, there are so many bugs out here. You're gonna see me sitting there swatting my face or whatever, but it is what it is. Yeah, most of the fossils that we're gonna find down here in the creek are gonna be more water worn. They're gonna be tumbled for years and years down here in the creek. They do have a little wall area that I might try to get to. That's where I usually find a lot of the fresher stuff, which is really neat. And hopefully we'll get to that a little bit later towards the end. But yeah, let's start looking around, see what we can find. What I'm going for today are horn coral, bryozoans. I'm going to look for some brachiopods and also some gastropods and maybe some cephalopods. I find more cephalopods down here in the creek area than what I do over at the wall area for some weirdo reason. Put the phone down for a minute, walked upstream just a little bit. Oops, see if I can get this thing to focus. After I took these pieces home, I wound up washing a lot of these off with my power washer. Here's a quick detail shot of the inside of that horn coral. What a cool fossil. All right, so I just bent over and picked that piece up from right down there. And as soon as I turn my camera off, I'm literally standing in the same exact spot. I look up, and there's another horn coral right here. So cool. Here's a quick look at that piece after I got it washed off and it's all dried up. Is this? It is. Just recognize that shape. Get that that pointed shape like the tip of a wizard hat. There we go. Let's see if there's any others hiding out over here. And down here we go. There's another one right there. Now, I don't think anybody's been down here since last year when I was down here last. So there should be plenty of fresh material laying around. The hard part is you have the harsh lighting with the sunlight, and then the softer lighting, and whenever the wind blows, the trees just move. And so it makes it hard to spot. And then you've got a million rocks laying around. So just trying to spot all these things in between everything. And then my old eyes, it's not a good combination, but sometimes I get lucky. You could probably tell by the sweat dripping off of me, which I'm sorry about that, but it is muggy as can be. It is really humid. I think it might even rain a little bit here a little bit later today. So hopefully I can get that way towards the wall area before it starts to cloud up too much and then I get rained on and then the trip gets cut short. But either way, let's go have some fun. Sometimes these ones from down here at the creek, after being tumbled and tumbled and tumbled so many times, they can be really weathered and almost hard to recognize. But they're there. This is a horn coral embedded in the matrix. It's hard to make out. It's been pretty smoothed over and tumbled so many times. Tip is busted, a lot of scratch marks and stuff, but it's still a fossil. Now, I know that you're supposed to avoid things like politics or religion and stuff like that. But that said, I am a professing believer. I do believe in the Lord. And I find myself, whenever I'm out here rock counting a lot of times, I'm like talking to God all the time. And I'm like, Lord, if I'm going to find something, here's an old weathered cephalopod, by the way. I just found that. I'm like, you're going to have to make it painfully obvious. I mean, just like put it right in front of my eyes because I'm not seeing anything right now. Because there's just so much. So I find myself just talking to him like that. And anyhow, it's just a good time for me to be out in nature, just talking things out and just having a good time. It's just kind of like a little reset, you know, get away from screens, get away from deadlines with work, get away from responsibilities of, you know, I'm a dad of 6 kids. Been married for 24 years now, July 15th. And here's a little rock, horn coral on it. And so I've got a lot of responsibilities. So it's good for me to get out in the woods a little bit and just talk with the Lord and get things out and just kind of like refresh, you know. And there's something just fun about just being out in nature. Here's a bunch of bryozoans, just a type of a coral. Let me see if I can Got wet. So I've been finding myself in every stretch that's about 15 or so feet long, I can usually find 2 or 3 pretty decent fossils through here. So let's go through here, and do you guys see any? There we go. It's pretty weathered, but it's really cool at the same time. I like it. Here's what it looks like after I got it all cleaned off. Now all these pieces that I'm going to show that are cleaned up, I've only washed them with water, and that's it. All right, here we go. I think there's something hiding underneath this leaf right here. Here's a quick look at this piece after I got it washed off as well. I like the ones that have a little bit of the bryozoan overgrowth on them. That's a cool piece. I wonder if there's any more laying around before I shut this camera off. I know the best way for me to be able to find something is to turn the camera off, because it seems like every time I turn the camera off, there it is. I'm kind of looking around over here. I'm just kind of sweeping left to right, left to right, left to right. I'm seeing a lot of like dark leaves and stuff. And I thought that this was a leaf at first. Then I got over it, and I think that might be a horn coral. Oh yeah, that thing's been sitting there for a while. Look how dark that is on that side, and light over there where it's been sitting. That's pretty cool. So after washing this one off and letting it dry out a little bit, it looks like it has a little bit more water wear on it than I originally thought. Now I know there's a million of them all through here, but these are kind of hard to spot, especially when they get all covered and everything. So I have to go by shape. Do you see that shape? Because the color doesn't always give it away, but the shape will give it away. Kind of reminds me of those bugles, you know, those chips we used to put on the tips of our fingers when we were kids and eat them and pretend like we had witch fingers or something. Really cool fossils. So when you've been doing this long enough, you can start to make out the markers for what you're looking for. The little indicators. Horn coral still embedded in some of the matrix. Really cool find. Here it is, just nestled right in there. Yeah, I know there's going to be probably 100 of them around here, but I'm not going to be able to see it unless they're painfully obvious, like how this one right here was. These old eyes of mine just don't quite work like how they used to, and I have to keep hunching over to get closer to the ground to see better, because I don't have my glasses on, and then my back starts to hurt for hunching over so much. Just came from down there, was getting eaten up by bugs all through there. So I came around this corner, and I've got to walk through a bunch of mud to get to that other rock bank over there on the other side of that. But when I was looking down to watch where I stepped, I saw this from across the creek. Man, that's a nice big one right there. It's pretty weathered. Still really cool. So here's what that piece looks like after I got it sprayed off and it's all dried out. There we go. There's 2 horn coral in here. Got this one, and then right there above my thumb. After spraying it off with my pressure washer, you can make out the fossils a little bit better. We have a brachiopod Check this out. That is a really fun find. So unfortunately with this one, I was trying to spray the inside of it out to reveal a little bit more detail, and when I was doing that, a piece of the side broke off. Just picked this one up from right down there. Actually, is that another one? Nope. This right here was sitting right next to all that moss. You see it's got a little bit of moss overgrowth on it as well. So here's what that one looks like after I got it all rinsed off. Oh, is that? No, that's not one. Is that one right there? Oh, it is. Nice big fat one. The tip's busted. But man, that's a nice big one right there. Well guys, it's starting to get a little dark out. Maybe we should start heading down to the wall area if we can and see if we can't pull a few things out before it starts to rain. There we go. Plant's right in the way, but you can see that identifiable shape. There's beautiful horn coral. Now the horn corals here can be varying in colors. You can have black ones, you could have whitish ones, grayish ones, and some that are a little bit more orangish in color. And so whenever I'm finding these things, I go by, just like with my crystals, color and shape. Pretty cool stuff. Here we go. Isn't that beautiful? How cool is that? All right, here we go. Right there. Beautiful piece. Fell right out of this wall. All right. It looks like we've got a little brachiopod down here. And it has started to geodize. See some really cool little dogtooth calcite crystals in there. If I can get it to focus. There we go. Now it's starting to focus. A little bit better detail shot. Here's a better detailed look at all the little dogtooth crystals inside of that brachiopod. I actually found another one that was off camera that was pretty close to where the first one was located as well. Alright, I think I spot another one. Really, really nice. We have a horn coral right here buried in the mud. Looks like it might have some bryozoan over it, maybe. It looks pretty cool. Here's a little bit better detail shot of that piece. I still have a lot of cleaning to do on this one. Okay, here is the top half of a horn coral. It's all embedded in the rock, but you can see how it started to calcify. Here we have some horn corals, some brachiopods, and some bryozoan all in one plate. That's a really good piece. Here's another plate with two horn corals facing opposite direction. Here we have a gastropod, a horn coral, and bryozoan, along with a couple of brachiopods all in one plate. Hiding out right down here in all the weeds. Just pulled this brachiopod out from right there. So that brachiopod had a little surprise for me. I flipped it over and there's another brachiopod that's nestled in there. And I just got this horn coral right here. I thought I was recording, but apparently I was not. Just pulled that one out from right there. Here's a little better detailed look at that horn coral as well. I still have a lot of cleaning to do on it. Well guys, I had a lot of fun on this trip. It was neat seeing the cemetery again and going down to the creek and just finding handfuls upon handfuls of really neat fossils. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.